just a minute ago, I showed you guys that old homestead. This is where the road continues, and then about another 3 miles, it becomes literally a trail. The road dead ends, but this is kind of interesting. This is just a little side trail right here, an old road, and there's supposed to be an old homestead back there too, so I'm going to walk back there and see if I can show that to you. In addition, there's supposed to be a cemetery way up on top of that ridge. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get back there today, but let's see if we can at least find this homestead. The little side road I just came up, and if you continue up here, I believe the cemetery is up there about a 1/4 mile. It's almost straight up, so I'm not sure I'm going to get up there. But I did see this, and this is kind of interesting, so I'd like to show you this. It's just a little side trail here that comes off that little road. There's a little creek over on the right over there. And here we are. Chimney still stands after all these years. So again, this is probably an old homestead from the early 1900s. Obviously a lot of work went into that. That's about 25 feet tall. Like I said, when you look around here, you always see some stuff around. There's an old bed frame right there. There's an old kitchen sink. An old garbage can. Another part of the house there. And pretty cool back here. Like I said, I always try to put myself back in this place when people lived here and got married here, had kids here, and then died here, you know, by virtue of the cemetery that's not too far away. So this is pretty cool. Now right here, I don't know if I've showed you one of these before, but this is a trap that the National Park Service puts in different places to catch wild pigs. The pigs are a nuisance here. They tear up the stream beds and put a lot of silt in the river and ruin trails and stuff like that. So they put these traps in. Hopefully a pig will go in there, and then they have guys come by once in a while to check them. And then they, if there's a wild boar in there, they'll shoot it and deliver it to somebody that cuts it up and actually gives it to food pantries and things like that. I've never seen one with a boar in it, but many of the locals I talked to around here said they're much more afraid of the pigs than they are bears. They say bears will take off, but pigs are very aggressive, and you know, they'll chase you up a tree or something like that. So that's kind of cool. And here's the back of the cabin, old homestead. Some old pottery there, some old metal of some sort. And again, if I spent any time around here, you'd probably find out where their dump was, and also where their bathroom was. So let me look around here, see if I see anything. Here's a little creek right here, so you can see how close they were to water, which was really important because they didn't want to have to hoist water anywhere. Okay, walking around the property a little bit here, or the property adjacent to where that cabin was, I came across this thing. This might have been their outhouse right here, or some storage shed or something like that. But like I say, normally within a couple 100 feet of the cabin itself, you'll find their dump where they put all their trash, and then a bathroom, an outdoor or an outhouse. There's a bunch of future frogs, a bunch of tadpoles in this little pond, or this little, not pond, this little puddle right on the trail. There's tons of them in there. One of the reasons they made the national park is because all the lumber companies came in and were taking all the virgin forest out of the park and basically just ravaging the land. Now Noland Creek was spared from that. Basically the only wood that was taken out of here was the wood that the homesteaders used, but you can see some original growth trees right here, how big they are. And here's another one over here. So these trees probably been around for 180 years or so, long time. But Noland Creek was spared being ravaged of all their virgin timber. Okay, we made it to the Saloa Valley, which was probably the largest settlement here on Noland Creek. And there's a big campsite, campsite 64. It's got multiple places to camp, and there, if you look at it, you can see where you can hang your food so the bears don't get it. But this is a pretty cool area. They do allow horses to come in on this trail, and here's an old feeding station for the horses where they would put the hay or straw up in that trough right up there, and the horses could stand here on and feed and also be tied down for the night. So I haven't seen any horses, anybody riding and doing any trail riding today, but a lot of folks come up here. But really nice campsite, and we're at the junction of the Spring House Trail and of course the Noland Creek Trail. The road ends and the trail begins. Let's see, I guess the road continues over there for the horses, but there is a pretty cool bridge here that we're gonna walk over. Now there was a guy that lived back here a long time ago named Rust, and he put a school in the back here. There were a bunch of people living back here. He put a store in back here. He put a fish hatchery in back here, and he also, believe it or not, had a little electric generating plant back here, so he could generate electricity to have an electric fence, because he had a bunch of sheep back here and he wanted to keep the bears out of here. So imagine how ingenious it was to make your own little electric generating plant somewhere way back here. And hopefully we'll see a little bit of that plant as we go forward. But this is again Noland Creek. I'm not sure if this was part of his little fish hatchery or the electric generating or just an old homestead, but you can see there's some old materials back here. Again, another foundation, a rock foundation, probably an old cabin here with a wall built right into the bank there. So this was probably an old cabin that was back here at one time. And that's why this Saloa Valley area was one of the key areas here up on the Noland Creek Trail. And I guess there were a couple hundred people living back here back 130 years ago. Okay, starting to rain pretty hard. We went about 5 miles back on the Noland Creek Trail and saw some pretty cool stuff. So now we're going to start heading back. Looks like it's going to be a wet walk out of the park. By looking at the weather forecast, it's supposed to be raining for the next few hours and raining pretty hard. So we're heading back to the barn. So if we see anything cool on the way back, we'll get back on camera. If not, talk to you later. Right here is where the school used to be. I don't see any old foundations or anything, so it must have been just wood, and they probably burned it down when they started the national park. But from looking at maps and some old historical information, There used to be a school right here on this property. Here's another old chimney I found back in the woods, not far from the river. This one looks like it's been gone or has fallen apart, and looks like it's been here a long time. But it's about 50 feet from the river. And again, one of the old initial homesteads here in the national park. Okay, so here I am back at the trailhead. Just completed the hike. It was about 11 miles, 5.5 out, 5.5 back. Took my time today, saw some pretty cool things that we're gonna share with you on this video. And rained a little bit, very hard, but just for a few minutes. And I was able to stay dry. It's about 60 degrees, so it's not too bad. But one of my favorite spots in the park is Noland Creek. And when you see some things in the video, hopefully you'll enjoy them and share that experience with me. Well, they say every good hike should end up with a beer. So we're gonna take the road to nowhere back into Bryson City and see if we can scare up a couple coldies. Okay, for those of you that may not be familiar with Bryson City, North Carolina, it's a really cool little mountain town about an hour west of Asheville. A pretty touristy place, but I'll give you a quick little tour here as I drive through town and look for a place to get a beer. This is the Smoky Mountain Railroad here. They do 20-mile excursions over to the NOC and over at Dillsboro. But this is basically the town. It's about 3 blocks long. Mostly just some shops and some little restaurants and some touristy type places, but it's like the coolest town I've ever seen. And when we get to the next light, we'll basically be out of town. So, like I said, just a cool little small mountain town. All right, here we are. Found a place. Looks like it's got my name on it. Well, that didn't work out too good. They only have beer to go. Can't sit down and have a beer. Apparently, everything's going to open on Friday. And then they'll be able to not only serve beer, but you'll be able to sit out on this little patio area here and partake. So we'll be back in a couple days and see if we can grab a beer here.